and get some cookies. All right, so enjoy the next film, Frankenstein.
Here I come. Look, here's the final touch. Brain of a dead man, waiting to live again in a body I made with my own hands. My own hands. Let's have one final test. Throw the switches.
time. Bring him down to the village and let's take him home. Bye,
I hope you guys enjoyed that. That was Frankenstein off of the Universal Films edit. I am Denny Daniel of the Museum of Interesting Things. Go on our Facebook page and our website. You can see a lot of other events and film things that we are doing if you want to catch some more interesting things. VampireFreaks Rocks. Please check out their website today, all night long. There's more stuff, so do not leave. Check out the rest of the performances, bands, and DJs today and tomorrow here. So they're doing a lot of cool stuff. Stay tuned. So it's me, Denny Daniel of the Museum of Interesting Things. You're welcome to help contribute to the museum. All of us are doing this as a favor to the wonderful people at Vampire Freaks. So enjoy, and I'll catch you all later. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, it's me, Jim Simonic of Electronic Saviours. I hope you're all doing great. Jim Simonic of Electronic staying Saviors. Safe. Hey guys, I hope you're all doing great. Jim Simonic of Electronic Safe. So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the Electronic Saviours project. First, I want to thank Jet of VampireFreaks and the whole crew with the wonderful job that they're doing. Let me try to fix this audio here. Does that sound any better? How does that sound? Sound any better? How does that sound? Sound any better? How we doing? How does that sound? Sound any better? How we doing? How we doing? How we doing? You guys getting some feedback here? You guys getting some feedback here? You guys getting some feedback here? Okay, how we doing now? You guys getting some feedback here? Okay, how we doing now? Okay, how we doing now? All right. Am I sounding any better? All right. All right. All right, let's get started here. You can still hear the echo. Okay. All right, let's get started here. Let me go into my audio here. All right, let's get started here. You can go into my audio here. All right, let's get started here. You can still into my audio here. How we doing now? How's that? Okay, we good? All right. I am going to. Okay, you can't hear me now. All right. How about now? Sorry about this, guys. How about now? Sorry about this, guys. Sorry about this, guys. Okay. Any better? Any better? All right. Okay, we'll go with that. All right, this is my first time doing this, guys. Please bear with me. But yeah, I'm Jim Simonic. I created the Electronic Saviours project. Thanks, Jet and VampireFreaks, for letting us do this, and thank you all for your time. And I want to get to your questions real quick, but first I want to give you a little bit of backstory on how we got here, and a little bit about the future of the project and distortion and everything. So in 2008, I was diagnosed with cancer, a stage 2B colorectal, and I was lucky enough to survive it. I know a lot of people aren't that lucky, so I decided to do something cool, something that would help out a lot of other people that were suffering from the same thing or something similar. So I contacted everybody in the scene that I had worked with in the past, being a DJ and a promoter for many years leading up till then. So that's how Electronic Saviours was born, with the help of Metropolis Records and the wonderful folks over there. We created this. So I'm sure some of you have this. Some of you might actually still need this version because it's out of print. So that came out in 2010. We did some touring. We did some live shows with the bands on the compilation itself, and it ended up doing really well. We raised in excess of $20,000 for charity, and it was such a big success. We decided to turn it into a series. My buddy Chase Dudley, who I partnered up with, really helped out a lot, and in 2012 we decided to release a sequel, and it grew to a 6-disc set from a 4-disc, and with that set we ended up with another $10,000 for charity. So at that point we'd raised $30,000 with Volume 3, Volume 4, Volume 5, which was just released 2 years ago. We're up to about $75K, which we're really happy with, and we couldn't be more thankful to all the bands and all the labels and everybody involved, everyone that's come to the shows, Again, I really hope you guys are staying safe out there. And I know it's a really, really bad time for everybody, so we're going to focus on the positive and try to get to some of your questions. And hopefully you guys will check the compilations out. We're working on getting Volume 6 out there. We have an amazing amount of pre-orders for it. And I can't thank you guys enough for all the support. It's been really wonderful. So without further ado, let me get to some of the questions that you guys might have on the Twitch stream. So let me go to that. This one's from Gabrielle. How long have I been a musician? A while. Going on about 20 years. My first band, actually, you guys probably know the first band that I was ever in, Mindless Faith, which was in the late 90s when they were a Pittsburgh-based band. And it was a pretty fantastic experience. I was only with them briefly for a couple shows. But then I started my own band, Force, in 2000 with a couple friends from Pitt University. And we got to play some really big shows with... let's see, we played with Pigface, Funkervote, Chris Conley, Throwkill Cult. We did some fantastic. Hi Gwenix, miss you too. But yeah, it's in 2003 we revamped Force, became Reinforced. I did that project for a number of years, got signed to DSBP Records. Then we went on to WT2. After WT2, so actually we're still going to do an album for them, one more under Reinforced, and that hopefully in the next year or two. But then I started Red Locust with Lee from Aslan Faction, and after that, well, we don't know. We just we're putting out a new Red Locust album in June, so we hope you check that out. Let me see what else we got here. Let me see what else we got here. Is there a song on the Electronic Saviours comps that I go back to more than others? Is there a song? Oh my goodness, yeah. That I go back to more than Volume 1, since it was so special to me, I guess. Because that was what kept me going through chemotherapy, radiation, all that stuff, which was a living hell. So I hope none of you guys never have to go through that. There is a song on there called "The Fight" by Christ Analog that was tremendous, and it being their first track in a long ass time. That was really special, and the Chem Lab track on there. So there's a number of tracks on the first comp, but on the new one, and let me just show you guys a little sneak peek of what you're gonna get with the new one. So this is the new one. Nobody has this yet, and it's a 6-disc set. I don't have the 2-disc yet, but we have a postcard that we're going to be sending out, a bumper sticker. This is all with the Prime Edition. There's a booklet that comes inside with a bunch of stuff in it, and a wristband, which we give away with all of these compilations. And for the first time ever, we did these enamel pins. So you get all this stuff with the Prime Edition, but there's just some amazing tracks on Volume 6, and I do consider it the best volume I've ever done. We just did some incredible stuff on there, but Chris Connolly with Mark Heel from Cuban 8, just an amazing track to end the 4-disc. So, any words of inspiration to someone who would want to be a musician? Don't give up and work hard. It could be very.
Don't give up and work hard. It could be very.
I don't know how to put this in a term. It's as musicians we tend to be very sensitive to criticism sometimes, and I would say that if the magic doesn't happen for you right away, keep trying, and eventually it will work out. And that's the best I could hope for, to tell you. Who are some of my artistic and musical influences? I would say, going back to high school, I was a big fan of grunge rock. And like Nirvana, Alice in Chains, but when I got into college, it was more about the mid-90s sort of stuff like 16 Volt, Acumen Nation, and then more EBM influenced stuff like Front 242, Leather Strip. So yeah, like those influences. I think I cite early Hosiko was a big influence of mine.
I think I cite early Hosiko was a big influence.
But yeah, dark electro stuff. I do make dark electro stuff.
But yeah, dark electro stuff.
Check out Red Locust.
Dark electro stuff.
Check out Red Locust. Hi, Jason.
Hi, Jason.
Oh, you guys are still hearing an echo? Am I going to do any new Cancer Face tracks? Probably not. I'm going to try to turn this echo down. Okay, my computer speakers are muted. Cancer Face was sort of a one-off thing that I did with Wade from Christ Analog for two different tracks. ES2 and then again on ES4. But though it was a great experience. Matt from Caustic was on one of those tracks, and Brian from the Gothsicles, Brittany from Isentilla, Martin Atkins from Pig Face. So Charles Levi from Thrill Kill Cult. So it was pretty awesome to get to work with those guys. But as far as future Cancer Face, probably not. But never say never. You never know. Yeah, the album box is pretty nice. It's, Jeff Confer and Samantha Johnson did an amazing job on art. They've been with us since the beginning. They're fantastic people. So I met them when they were still going to art school at the University of Pittsburgh. What's my advice for learning to play by ear if you're not formally trained? How do you commit a track right through memory? Well, if you're not I'm not formally trained in music at all. In fact, I go as far as saying I can't carry a tune. I'm when it comes to my music, I'm just a screamer. But I do put the emphasis is always on songwriting, and I don't want to distort my vocals to a point where people can't understand what I'm saying. And I want to sort of bring a coherent message to my fans and whatever I'm doing. How did I create the name of my band? That was actually Lee. Lee came up with the Red Locust idea. I think it's a video game reference. Okay, the echo is still there. Okay, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. See if how's the echo now? Is that any better? Sorry about this, guys. Another question. Gabrielle, what's the craziest thing that happened at a performance? Oh man. I would have to say when I opened for Sister Machine Gun in 2004. There was a fantastic crowd there, and there was water all over the stage, and I came up during the Christ Analog set to do a cover song with them, and we were all sliding around, falling down, falling all over each other while we were trying to do this. I don't know, it was complete anarchy on stage. That's probably the craziest time on stage I can remember. There was our first Red Locust show that we ever played was at Fallout in Richmond, and right before we went into our last song, the power grid in the city blew, and the venue lost power for about an hour, and I think the Rain Within and Stoneburner were still yet to follow us that night, so we weren't even sure if the rest of the show could even happen. But that was our first Red Locust show. right before our last song, the whole power grid blew. There was a big storm outside, so so yeah, those things rank up there with some craziness. Let me see here. The Gothsicles would be in for a future Cancer Face. I'm down. If Brian, that's got to be Brian's Space Couch show. I'm into whatever, man. I'm always happy to work with you. What my songwriting process? Unfortunately, I'm a procrastinator, so Lee will actually send me a completed song, and I normally tend to write when I'm in a bad mood or I'm upset about something. So I'll just take what Lee gave me, and if it's not structured in a way that I think that I can write to, I'll shoot him an email saying, hey, can you add this part or overlay this this certain section of the song to or maybe this song needs another chorus, but I'll sit down and I'll just write to Lee's awesome music that he sends me, and go from there. With collaborations, it's usually the same thing. Like I have sung backup on a lot of Electronic Saviours contribution songs, and it's usually they'll just send me the track or send me a template. I did a track with Dark Clan once, and he sent me basically the instrumental music, but he sent me another demo with his own vocals in a way he wanted me to sing. So that was was sort of like an instruction. It's 9 times out of 10. It's if I'm in a bad mood and it strikes to write something, then I don't tend to write unless I know that I need to get an album out there or there's a due date looming on the horizon, I guess. So let me see what else we got here. Thank you guys for all these questions. I hope we can get through them all. Thank you guys for all these questions. How do you filter all the tracks and come up with which track goes on what CD? For Saviours, yeah, that's it's a very time-consuming process that takes weeks, because I'm getting submissions from every place all around the world sending me different tracks at different times. So we usually, when the submission deadline closes, which is usually the 1st of every year, January 1st, and Chase and I will pick a day where we go through every track, and it's usually like a 16-hour day. We hunker down in his place or my place, and we go through every single track, and whatever we decide the best flow is, I guess. I specifically keep my ear out for what I feel a track 1 could be. So I didn't have my track 1, disc 1 before, I think weeks before the submission deadline ended. And I got it from a band called 13 Milligrams from the 90s, who actually hadn't done any new songs in a long time, and I got their track. It was amazing, and when I hear it, I'm like, there's my track 1, disc 1. Last time it was Fires. The band Fires did an incredible song for us that was track 1, disc 1. Before that, it was KMFDM. Before that, it was 16 Volt. Before that, it was the band 10X from the UK. yeah, I mean, it all depends on flow, what the songs sound like, and whatever we think is the best position for them. We usually tend to pick the slower tracks for the disc enders, like the final tracks on the albums are usually slower. That's sort of like an outro. So let's see what else we got here. I hope that answers your question. How do you filter all the tracks and come up with which track goes on which CD? It's pretty much what I just said, yeah. Am I going to do a vinyl version in the next comp? Well, Volume 6 is the last disc, or the last CD box set, I should say. I've been touting that this is the final box set of Electronic Saviours forever. Electronic Saviours is not going away. We're still going to do that Crow soundtrack that some of you might know about, the 1994 soundtrack. We're still going to do that. It's an Electronic Saviours project. We're going to do more Respect the Prime releases, which was the first spin-off. There'll be another Synthcore Dreams comic book and CD combo. So there's going to be more Electronic Saviours stuff. Just with these box sets, it's a very daunting and gargantuan task to undergo, and it takes a hell of a lot of time. And I'm thinking that maybe in the future there could be another one, but for the time being, I do intend on 6 to be the last Saviours comp. But vinyl's tricky because we did a Respect the Prime vinyl. It did not do nearly as well as we thought it would, and vinyl is a really tough sell for this scene. And you pretty much have to have 150 to 200 buyers right then and there to even break even, just because the expense of vinyl is crazy. So I hope that answers your question. Let me see what else we got. My top 3 video games of all time. That's a good question. All right. I'm a big Resident Evil fan. I just got through number 3, the remake. But let's see, I got my video games right over there. So it's cool that if I just glance over there. The Alien Isolation I had a lot of fun with. The Ninja Gaiden series from the 2000s were pretty fantastic. I don't know if these qualify as my top 3 of all time. A big Star Wars fan, and I've been having a lot of fun with Battlefront 2 with Mine K. Drick and Vince McKaylee. We sort of have a lot of fun playing that with little. I got shocked on stage because Devil Bunny. I don't know what you're trying to say there. Devil Bunny, I don't know what you're trying to say there. Fallout always has issues with power going out. Well, we played there twice, and I gotta say I love it there. It's one of my favorite venues to play. So I hope whenever all of this coronavirus stuff ends, that we can get back to some semblance of normalcy and get out there and play some Red Locust shows for you guys. We'd really like to see all of you. How long have we known each other, and how did you all meet? If that's for every Electronic Saviours band, that goes all the way back to my early, I met everybody at different times. So if that question just means Chase and I, for Electronic Saviours, I met him the same year I was diagnosed, 2008. And that's pretty much when we decided to put the project together. Okay, what happened to the project you were in that did the track? Oh, the anesthesiologist track on ES3. That was with Tom Whitaker, a friend of mine from, I think he lives down in Florida now. We go back to the early days of my first band, Forced. We played a show with them at Club Laga, and I think we decided to do this track for Saviours 3, and it was going to turn into a full-fledged project. It just never got there. Again, if Tom, if you're watching this, I'm still open to working on. I'd do an album with you, sure. Yeah, The Anesthesiologist was the name of the track. I can't remember. I have the comp right here. The track was called It Never Ends. It was a great track. Thanks, Rodent Sky, Casey, meow. What was the best show you promoted that blew your mind? Oh my god. I have like a top 5 of those. The Mesh Division Iris tour was one of the best nights of my life. The aforementioned Sister Machine Gun Christ Analog Manufactura show, that was also an amazing show. I would say probably one of the most pivotal was 16 Volt in Bella Morte at the Pegasus nightclub downtown Pittsburgh. That was the day after I finished chemotherapy and the day Electronic Saviours was born, pretty much, because Eric from 16 Volt agreed to be involved with it. That's what I thought. Well, if he would want to be involved, I guess anyone that I'd ever worked with could be. So that was sort of my impetus, and I was just in such bad shape. I just finished chemo. I was very underweight, not feeling too great. But that show really stands out as an amazing night. We just had a killer crowd, and everyone was so awesome. The bands were fantastic. Yeah, Brian, you should do more Otter songs. Let me see what else we got here. Do you have a favorite band or a favorite brand for your instruments? That's more of a question for Lee, I think, because I don't do any of the music. I just yell into a microphone. And write the songs. That's where my talent ends. It's really not. Lee does all the magic, and that's usually the case with any band I'm in. Anyone that actually writes the music has all the talent. I'm just there to write and scream and be an idiot. The same question for the plug-in question here. I would say that's probably also a question for Lee. How did I get to be so beautiful? You must be looking at somebody else. Let me see here. Favorite venues. Favorite venues I've played. QXT's in Jersey. Was pretty awesome. I like playing Christie's place in Columbus, Ohio, the Shrunken Head. That's a cool place to play. Fallout is always awesome. There was a place, I think, called The Frequency in Madison that I liked a lot. And the Inferno in Madison. Awesome venue. Oh my god. I miss that place, and I so wish I'd go back in time. But I'm just glad we got to play there before it closed. That was on the ES3 tour when that we got to play there, and they closed shortly after. So yeah, I thank the Dark Clan people, Null Device, Sensuous Enemy, and Matt from Caustic for hooking that show up, because we had a really great time there. So yeah, that's of course Club Laga here in Pittsburgh was always fantastic to us. We just lost one of our venues. Howlers is not coming back after the coronavirus ends, which is sad because I've been doing a lot of my recent shows there. A decade is a long time. How are you feeling about the end of the ES journey as far as the series goes? Thoughts on where you want to go next? Somber. Very somber, Jason. I'm not feeling very good about it. It was really hard to listen to the last few songs of the comp. Yeah, it's sad, but in a way, it's all nice things have to end at some point, and there's a lot to do with Distortion. We have way too many plans up here to have to. We'll never have a shortage of things to do. We have a Blue-Eyed Christ record coming out next month, and Void, which is Scott from My Vardensphere with Mika from This Morning Amina and Mary Catman. That record's phenomenal. My new Red Locust comes out in June. Steve Archer is doing a new album for us under the name Ocellus. The Crow soundtrack, Respect the Prime. There will be no shortage of things to do, for sure. So yeah, it's, there'll be more Electronic Saviours releases. It's just the box sets have to take a bit of a break. It takes me like a year and a half to 2 years to put one of those things together. The in-offs, or the ES spin-offs, the Respect the Prime spin-off basically came about because I love Transformers, and Jet loves Transformers too, so I think that's how we bonded. I went to a bunch of cons in 2014. I met a lot of the folks who do the Transformers comics over at IDW, and I thought that, wow, if I could, maybe combine my love of industrial music with my love of Transformers, that would be cool. So we decided to do a cover project called Respect the Prime, which is the 1986 soundtrack, the 1986 movie, the animated one, not the Michael Bay crap. It's mostly like all instrumental and hair metal kind of stuff, and we did full covers of that. We're on there. We did Instruments of Destructions, and Chorion Prime did an amazing version of The Touch, and Bella Morte did a great cover of Hunger. And that actually remains to be Distortion's best-selling release to this day. So that was our first spin-off. We also did an EP where the bands had to read a comic, a Transformers comic, and then write a song about it. That was called Constructed Cold. Then there's the Synthcore Dreams compilation CD and comic that was done by Jeremy Fraser, who lives over in Asia. He put it together and wanted to, it'd be a benefit for not only us but Darkest Before Dawn, the suicide prevention charity out of Chicago, for Jamie Duffy from Acumen, who passed away a few years ago. And so those are the only spin-offs we have now. The Crow is the next one I really want to tackle, and another Respect the Prime EP. So we got about 10 minutes left of this stream. Again, I'm really sorry if the audio sucks on this. Okay, let's see if we can get to a couple more, you guys. I was a big fan of ES when the first one was being teased, but it became a lot more of a personal when my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal in 2012. This is from /0998. She went into remission for a while, but now she's going through palliative treatment. I'm really sorry to hear that. I really hope that these compilations bring some comfort in the way that I intended for them to, because these compilation CDs are intended to bring about hope and love and just sort of the focus on the things that you really care about and the people you care about, and so I can only hope that it does that for you, and that's sort of our goal with this whole thing. What was my favorite piece of music and why? My favorite piece, my favorite band of all time is ChemLab, and I would have to go with Suicide Jag on that. Just a quick answer on that one. Yeah, that 16-volt show was awesome. What are a few of your favorite venues that are closed back in Pittsburgh? I would say the Pegasus Club. I had my best shows there. I would say for sure Club Laga is a second. A lot of people loved Club Laga back in the day. It was where we had our best club night, where I got my start in DJing in the 90s, and I met some of my best friends there. So yeah, but as far as shows promoted, the Pegasus venue was tremendous. We did the Crew Shadows there twice. The 16-volt show. We did Noctamar there when they were not very known